Fitch, a leading provider of credit ratings and research, has upgraded Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating IDR from B- to B with a stable outlook. This upgrade reflects increased confidence in the government's commitment to policy reforms implemented since June 2023. Some of the reforms are allowing market forces to determine exchange rates, raising policy rates to combat inflation, reducing reliance on printing money to finance deficits, and removing fuel subsidies. Well, according to the ratings, the reforms have improved policy coherence and credibility and reduced economic distortions and short-term risks to macroeconomic stability. Fitch expects Nigeria's current macroeconomic stance to support a gradual decline in inflation and enhance the functionality of the foreign exchange market. Well, joining us to discuss these recent ratings from B- to B, which shows the country's credit outlook is stable, is Muktar Mohammed, a financial expert / investment banker. Mohammed, Muktar, glad to have you join us on Newsnight. Well, Fitch ratings upgrades Nigeria's outlook from negative to stable, but Nigeria's long-term foreign policy rating remains at B. What does this even mean or imply?
Well, first and foremost, it's good news to Nigeria if a credit rating agency like Fitch is rating you high. But again, we mustn't forget that some 2 days ago, JP Morgan have really said Nigeria is a high risk for investment, especially for investors. So now with Fitch coming out with this, it seems to make Nigerian economy a little bit happy to hear that after getting that from JP Morgan some weeks ago. I think it was sometime last week. So it's good, and it's all about reform. And again, if you look at that report critically, it's not just saying that everything is well. If you look at the report, it still has its challenges that it thinks Nigeria is going to face during this throughout 2025, especially the low oil price. We're already facing that from a benchmark of $75 per barrel. Today, the oil price is about $60 per barrel. So definitely exchange rate volatility is still there. Even if you say we will maintain relative stability, budget benchmark is about 1,500. And today, the official is about 1,602. So for them to come out and say, okay, it seems that you're stable, I think is a good rating going forward. That is coming at this time where we have those tariff crises, we have Nigerian economic being affected by external forces. And one of those external forces is the price of crude. And they said there were expectation on the increase in oil output. But again, just today we heard that our output was down by, imagine, about 4%. So it's, in as much as that report gives us room to be excited, also it creates rooms that we need to do a lot if we want to maintain stability going forward in the long term.
All right. Yeah, because you've even talked about challenges and the fact that JP Morgan is on this side and Fitch is, hello, are you still there? Muktar is on this side. All right.
Yes, I can hear you.
It says, because let's break down some of these not too good sides. It says the president reforms has improved macroeconomic credibility, reduced distortions, enhanced resilience to shocks. What does this even mean, Muktar? And how does it affect the Nigerian on the street, the market woman, the manufacturer, and the entrepreneur who have to still spend so much to get dollars? You talked about that.
I think one thing we must understand, and I've said it over and over, is that the orthodox method of managing our economy, whereby the CBN has gone to, is not really bringing the value, especially to the ordinary man on the street. Because you're talking about reduction, you're talking about orthodox, you're hiking interest rate, reduction of liquidity in the system, floating of the naira, like you rightly pointed out there, has also have a negative impact on the average Nigeria. Because when you look at the sector, Nigeria's most vibrant sector is the SME sector, the small and medium scale or the informal sector. It's largely driven by liquidity. And when you look at the manufacturing sector, for us to grow our manufacturing sector, we have to have cheap funding. And when you hike interest rate, that means cost of funding goes high. So some of these policies seems to help the formal sector. And when you talk about the formal sector, we're talking about those big conglomerates. But when you talk about the vibrant sector of the Nigerian economy, that would tend to bring value to the ordinary Nigerian and see the impact of some of this policy to the ordinary Nigerian, that is not being felt at the moment. But hopefully, as we go into those stability from the exchange rate, we begin to see the CBN bringing down rate. Maybe from then, we'll begin to see those effects in the cost of funding for the manufacturing going down, liquidity in the system to grow the informal sector. But as it stands now, I think it's not looking, the reality of those positivity is not showing to the ordinary man on the street.
Because the SMEs really are the people that matter, and they're the people that drive the economy of a nation. Well, before I let you go, I want you to take these two questions. How will this particularly, again, we've talked about the SMEs, rub off on investors or drive investment in Nigeria, if it will? And then Fitch says that governance remains a drag on credit profile due to weak institutional capacity and governance as key constraints.
Okay, let me say that the beauty about the fixed rating is that what it means is that you drive more foreign direct investors into the Nigerian market, which is good, and that will help stabilize our exchange rate because of those ratings. Some few days ago, before JB Morgan came out with that report also, they also say that JB Morgan is going to open a full-blooded bank in Nigeria. So that also is more or less like bringing in foreign direct investment into Nigeria. So it's good. That means you have a two-way exchange system, but there's still the risks that, like you said, because of low oil price, so there might not be enough effects in the system, especially when investors want to exit the market. I think that is a major risk that most foreign investors will be looking at. For your second question, we've said that over and over. I think structurally we've not have those structure to drive those reforms, especially to the ordinary Nigerians on the street. Especially when you look at the cash conditional cash transfer. You don't think to get to the real people, because sometimes these are shown in a lot of political moves. Okay, you must belong to a particular political party. We don't know how this is done, how this cash is transferred to those ordinary Nigerians. Those are the structural challenges that we have as a nation. And also, we look at the most vibrant sector of the Nigerian economy, which is the oil sector. It still also has the structural challenges that have to do with oil theft, insecurity, and that also is something that will reduce FX liquidity in our system. So those are the structural challenges, and this challenge needs to be dealt with if you really want to attract real foreign direct investors, and in turn of that also portfolio investors, because both has to come in, because those are the largest driver of liquidity, especially FX liquidity. When you look at Nigeria, how do we get FX liquidity? You look at export, crude oil, you look at Nigeria in the diaspora, you look at foreign direct investors, and you look at foreign portfolio investors. In all of these, there are challenges that they are dealing with. If these challenges are not addressed, it will be a very Herculean task for Nigerian economy to continue to enjoy the type of rating and enjoy the patronage from international community.
Muktar Mohammed, a financial expert / investment banker, thank you for allowing me to pick your brain.